Alright, so we're back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video. Today we begin some of the set 20 coverage. I've been waiting to do deck profiles on set 20 power absorbed because of the ban list, and depending on when this is going to be posted, it may or may not be before or after the ban list. I think it might be Monday. This is probably going to be posted on Tuesday, so if there are any changes, and as well as the future deck profiles, oh well, my bad. But this is about set 20 Black Cumber, Evil Saiyan. We actually got some, leaks, not really leaks, but previews about Evil Saiyan, and as well as the secret rare and things like that within this last couple months. And it's kind of flew by, honestly. Set 20 is going to be out this week, and Cumber finally makes his appearance in the Dragon Ball Super card game. At least an official one. We saw it in the promo with the dual attacker, but we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. Overall, I think this deck is not bad. I think it is pretty fun to play. It has lines of play that are pretty interesting. It can get pretty aggressive, and the long game is okay. When it comes down to black decks, to me at least, it can't really keep up with some of the red and blue decks, of course, in the format, where it just doesn't feel as good to get to turn 4, 5, 6 and beyond. And the same thing with probably yellow. Yellow kind of controls everything, especially going against Trunks Gogeta, Golden Frieza, whatever other yellow leader that might be out there. It is kind of annoying to deal with their barrier, their tapping down, their negates, floodgates, things like that. And it doesn't help that Vegeta is going to be coming out, or Vegito is going to be coming out in set 20 to make everything even harder. So black is in a little bit of a weird space, and Cumber is right there with it. I think it can be kind of aggressive up until turn 4, where you can kind of end the game or get close to it. But let's talk about the deck for a second. So the first thing up is going to be, of course, the leader. So if you haven't seen the leader, it really boils down to this. It plays out a field card that helps with your overrealm and as well as your servant stuff. You can swing and draw on the front side, and then Awaken has 2 different conditions. You can play a 1-cost Z battle card, which is a Fu, or Few, however you want to say it. You can draw one, untap one, and then take until 6. The leader Awaken, the Awaken leader, does the same thing. It's just that the activate main says that you can choose up to one of your own the battle cards that you own on the opponent's area. It gains servant until the end of the opponent's next turn, which basically means that you can use the things that the field card says here, basically all of your Fu, and as well as few cards that have Overlord. You can choose the ones in your opponent's battle area, which now thankfully has been clarified that you can use cards that they own, you give servant, and you can use Overlord for it. I don't know why there was any confusion about that. This deck would have been super stupid and just unplayable, but it is the way that it is now, so I'm very thankful for it, and now that it is pretty much official. The permanent also says that the mono black Saiyans with a combo cost of 1 and 5k power in your hand and battle area also get reduced by 0, or to 1, 2, 0, or by 1, 2, 0, and I think overall that helps with some of the cards that you might be playing. Now, about some of the Fu cards or few cards that you may have access to, the first one is going to be the one that helps you awaken, and pretty much is going to be there in the entire game as long as they don't have really good spot removal for barrier. It has deflect and barrier, which is awesome. This is really good for just an engine in general. It has Overlord as long as your leader is an Evil Saiyan, which is the front side, or Cumber, which is the back side, and then Z-Sac 1, which is the Black Cumber card we'll take a look at in a little bit, which is basically just a 15k swing, 25k swing with the Unison. You get to play that same card for 1, and the other card that is going to be in correlation with this is the Unison, which is a 2-cost blue black Unison. It's reduced by 1 as long as you have this Z battle card out. So you basically pay for 1, you get 1 marker out of it, not 2 of course. And then activate main is that you +2, you choose one of your Evil Saiyan and Cumber cards, both black, 6 cost or less, and it gains servant until the end of the opponent's turn. So you can't choose your leader, which would be broken. That would be broken. Can't do that. Just don't do that. It gains 10k and the servant keyword. The cool thing about the dual attacks that we'll look at again in a second is that it doesn't it does restand during the dual attack. It's an auto, and it doesn't really go past the servant type of things, where basically servant says you gain 10k, gain the servant keyword until the end of the turn, or end of the opponent's turn, and it doesn't restand during your charge phase, basically. So you get all the benefits of the power boost, the servant keyword for Overlord, and basically the same thing on their end, where you give them a power boost, but they can't swing with those given cards, which is really important. And then finally, we have the Super Saiyan Cumber, which looks kind of ridiculous. He looks like a Super Saiyan 3, but whatever. He does Z Awaken with 2 Z energy and 3 or life. Does awaken with 2 Z energy and 3 or less life, which 3 or less life always feels weird, but it is what it is. And he becomes a 20k leader, which is why you go 3 or less life. They don't really put 4 or less leader, or 4 or less for 20k leaders anyway. You get to draw 1 on attack, and you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and gain servant until the end of the opponent's turn. And activate battle is really cool. Basically, when this is in battle on their turn or your turn, you get to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards with servant, and then you get to combo with them in the combo area. So effectively, you basically get to remove things. You get to combo up to a minimum, usually a minimum of 10k for defense or offense. Because they have servant, they can't really do anything other than getting rid of their own battle cards, which is awesome for you, because that's pretty much the reason why you want to do it in the first place. So I really do think that this effect is awesome. It does really go well with the SR cards as well, and just in general, it seems cool. That's pretty much the core of the deck. The whole thing about Cumber is that you give things servant on their end and as well as yours. You use Overlord on both ends, and you play this weird like battle card. Those battle cards are mine, like control, aggro, swing type thing, and just make your Cumber cards, Evil Saiyan cards, beefy for that, so that way they can't really combo out of them, or at least decentivize that they do. And finally, here is my continually changing deck list. I've made some recent changes to this deck list, and as well as just in general, like, yeah, I don't think a deck list is ever going to be perfect, especially with the format changing just ever so often. Plus, it's going to take a lot of reps for any of these archetypal based decks to get good, really. And a few of the cards that we didn't really talk about, but people should know about, is again that Furious Frenzy has dual attack, 19k. You can give one of your opponent's battle cards servant. It does choose a lot of these cards chooses, so you can't really choose anything with barrier. It's kind of a bummer, but whatever. But effectively, you just keep something in rest. It's like a yellow effect, but in black. And then you get to play this with for 1 energy. If your little card is black, doesn't even have to be this, and 2 or more energy in a battle card in play. So your opponent has to have those 2 things in order to play this. Some of the cards that you do play end up being played on their end as well, so it's going to be really good with this. But again, with that unison, it's a 29k dual attacker that you can draw off of it with Overlord, so it's really good in that way. Some of the cards that I just mentioned as far as the play on their field, it's going to be the blocker, which is basically free if your leader card is a Cumber card. You can only use it once. You give them a 10k blocker that has a 1/5, which is why one of your cards, or why the field card says that says the way that it says, basically. They can block with it, which is fine, but the thing about it is that you use this one of the last things that you that they swing with, basically on the other turn, or the next turn. Basically, you use your leader card to give it servant, and then just bottom deck it with Overlord. The other one is you can play it for 1 if you really wanted to. If you're playing the Super Saiyan Blue Vegito Super Gleaming, which I don't really like the card. We can take a look at it in a second, but I just don't. Activate main is that leader card is the Evil Saiyan or Cumber. You get to draw 1 and then play in their battle area. So you basically draw 2 off of this because you play it in their field. You draw off of it and place it, and then you use the leader effect plus Fu in order to draw off Overlord. The last one is going to be the Trunks Prisoner from the Future. The weird one about this is that you look at the top 5, you get a 6 or less Black Saiyan card or a Mai card. but then they get the auto because they own it, because you're giving it to them, as I understand. So I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong. You draw one, they draw one and discard one. You're never pretty much never going to be paying 3 for it. But looking at the top 5 for a 6 cost or less black sand basically gets majority of the cards that you want, right? It gets us frenzy, the Furious Frenzy, which is going to be one of your main attackers. The 1 cost, which basically says look at the top 5, get a Fu or a Sand 6 or less. Or the Unison, which is nice and nifty. We played 3 of them because I think 4 is a little bit too cloggy. You get your Overwhelm, which is a critical 1 for 6 Overwhelm, and you get to wipe the field for 4 or less. That's pretty much the reason why I played this, because there's not really a good wipe the board. There's some spot removal in Servant, and as well as Overlord. There's some spot removal with Black Smoke Dragon, which is pretty much a given in a lot of black decks, in my opinion. Things like that. And there's spot removal in this, where on your turn, even though this is a 0/0, you almost always have an activate battle with this guy on your turn, 6 or less, and then on your opponent's turn, you basically get a bean. So with this, it's a 20k leader or 25k leader with the Z leader. And one of the cool things is that if you have a Z battle card in play, which is the Fu that has barrier, you're pretty much always going to be swinging with this as long as you have 3 or more energy. So it's, I think, going to be a staple in this deck and pretty much any other deck that focuses on the same thing. You also get the other Overwhelm, which is basically a free Overwhelm 30k, or the Activate Battle. Everybody kind of knows about that. And then the other 2 Fu cards are going to be the Scheming Overlord, which is the 2 cost activate main. As long as they have 2 energy and a battle card in play, it's a 20k critical, has Overlord. I don't know why this is all messed up. And you get to gain control of 3 or less. This actually came up a good amount in testing. It's not like phenomenal. This is why I would play at 2, and 2 energy is kind of a lot, which is why in this one is the Overlord activate main. You draw 1 and they have to have 2 or more battle cards in play. It's a 15k 15k swing with Overlord, so not too bad in general. But those 2 are kind of like your food cards. Your Z battle card, which is down here, it's going to be the one that is going to be the main focus for Overlord. But it is what it is. Some of the other stuff I haven't really mentioned. Super Kamehameha, obviously, for floodgates, petrification for certain things like literally anything, secret rares, anything really. A quick misplay against a Gohan secret rare, for example, is going to be the best thing to go against that. This guy, because it can be played from the warp or drop, is really good because you basically take a life. You get down to 3 if you're at 4, which is perfect for your Z battle card or your Z leader card, and then you get to negated attack basically, although you have to neg 1. Also, if you add it to Z energy, you get to bottom deck or warp at 4 or less, which is nice. We do also play again the other Cumber, which I mentioned before, is a 2 cost, 4 more energy, which is a lot, but whatever. 2 costs is still really cool, and the opponent has to have 2 or more battle cards in play, which you can get to with your Mai, with your Vegeta, with your Trunks, whatever, but it's going to be few and far between unless you're playing against Green Cooler, which, come on, like, you just have to play, you have to get another game plan. You get to draw 1 when you play it. It's a Black Saiyan card, so you're probably going to be seeing this in other Black Saiyans, or at least other like just in general. Those cards are, you choose any of your opponent's battle cards, any number, and you gain Servant, which also plays into your Z battle card or Z leader card, and then any of your Fu stuff as well. This is 30k dual attack double striker or a triple striker, which is usually not the one I'm going for. It's always gonna be the double striker dual attacker. Just more versatile for a lot of things. If you swing for double strike and then negate it, you can just go for the unison or something like that too. Just depending, it just really depends. Let's see, this card is really good because it is a 0/5 that becomes a 15k combo if your leader card is black, if a player's leader card is black, and you choose one of your cards, against 10k for the battle, and then you get to play this in your opponent's combo area. So on offense, it's really good because now your leader is a 35k leader, your boy over here is a 45k double striker. This guy is only a limit 1, so you can still combo another one if you really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, it's really good. It does also have Servant as well if you are playing it, because you can play it for 1 energy, for 3 or more energy from your hand. It's basically a 25k double striker as well, that you can just bottom deck with the Foo, which is nice. Bottom deck is really cool because you're probably going to see it again if you shuffle it with the 1 cost or whatever else, like the Trunks. I think we covered most of it. This is the super combo of choice for now, simply because if you have the Z battle card in play, basically 2 or more Z energy is really pretty easy nowadays. I am still like, if you really wanted to, you could play like thwarting in this as well. I didn't mention that, but like these guys are thwarting targets. And then if you really want to use the draw 2 Vegeta, which I mean, definitely go ahead and do that. But I like this because it's online all the time, and I've been at 5 or 6 life at a given point for like 2 or 3 turns at one point for certain matchups. So and it's nice to be aggressive with your 19Ks, 29Ks if anything, your 15Ks, your 20 now 30 K critical swings, things like that. This guy is now a 35K double striker. It's just those things that really just kind of end up being really cool. Plus you can defend against things like the Piccolo if you really wanted to, in blue or in yellow, whatever it may be. It's just online, and it just feels good to draw one early on and get your Z energy up and ready for your other cards as well. That's pretty much it. Gleaming, again, Vegito basically says that you can just combo this or your secret, which is going to be the secret of choice of Cumber. It's just really good. I can't really say more. You burn a life, you play something, and you prevent something as well from being played, essentially, and as well as ignoring barrier, which all those things you want. You just want. This guy is really good because it's a removal and as well as a 25k blocker if you don't swing with it. So mounting is cool. You can replace that with another Foo. There's a lot of barrier removal in this format and just in general for the game now. So another copy of Foo is going to be pretty good too. And then a lot of the other considerable cards I don't really like. This is too specific. This doesn't feel great, but it's cool. You may as well just play a counterplay, petrification, support, or oh damn, I think we're missing some other negates. I guess Vegeta's another negate. I think you can probably go 2 petrification if you really wanted to. Yeah, I mean it's not going to be too much of a too big of a deal here. I think I made too many changes as far as the defense goes on this deck, but that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. But I guess it's just not too bad because you can negate, and then if they have dual attack, I guess, well, dual attack doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really see it there. Same thing with this card is another specific to Cumber card. You play in your battle area instead and gain serve it. This was 4 or less. If this was reduced by 1 specified cost, if you're like 4 or less or 3 or less, or if you have a Z leader, that would be so much better. But the way that it stands here, I just don't feel like it deserves a spot in it. This is for more board control. This is not great because of black smoke. So the reason why this is at 3 again, and just in general, it just doesn't feel great. It's cool early on, and then like if you get black smoked, it doesn't feel great. Same thing with this guy. Like you don't really benefit from the spirit boost. Drawing is awesome, but I don't think that's too much of an issue as long as you keep up the overlord. And the -2 is like whatever. Same thing with the Mecha Gabora. It replaces itself. You get a free token, which is another card, like combo card, and you get a free overlord, but whatever. One thing I do want to mention, I didn't mention before, is that these guys have once per turn, here and here. Same thing with Mecha Gabora, but the Z battle card has limit 1 for the overlord. So you always have to make sure to use the once per turn for the overlord before you use the limit 1. Because you can do it multiple times. Obviously on your turn, or on their end as well as your end, is probably the most ideal part to do it. Ultimate minus ball is cool because as long as you don't have black smoke in pre-side format, like they're gonna have it. This is cool. Get rid of something with barrier. It is a limit 1. The activate main is a 15k, so like you pair that with this guy to take the game, paired up with a Champa or something else like that, then it's going to be really hard to get out of it with very little cards in your hand. Well, very little what's the word, contribution, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's it. I love talking about these decks. I love just archetypes in general and just going over it. Hopefully this was a little helpful. Hopefully this will help you build your own Cumber deck, and as well as just think about, you know, going to set 20, and as well as just the game in general. I know it's been really hard just in general for Dragon Ball sometimes, but I'm still enjoying a lot of the stuff that's coming out. Cumber is gonna be one of them. Android 18 is another one, even though it's kind of mediocre, and I'm exploring other stuff in set 20. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think I should go over next, and your own build if you have one. I'll see you in the next one.